Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's CF seminar. And we're really grateful to have Patrick and Oscar with us today, who will be providing an introduction to Masumi Network. So Masumi is a decentralized protocol that helps AI agents collaborate and monetize their services efficiently. With that said, I'm handing it over to you, Patrick.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for coming. It's really nice that we can present here. Before I start, we have a lot of ground to cover, but before I start, I would like to introduce Oscar, who's joining here today. Oscar is working for a service plan, and maybe Oscar, if you can say a few words. He's still recovering, so please.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you so much, Patrick. Yeah, I'm lying on the couch and also doing remote work, so my internet is bad. So this is the worst introduction you can get to me. Sorry for that. But of course, if Patrick calls that I can join him, I always do it. Yeah, I'm manager strategy agentic AI at Service Plan Studios. And together with NMaker, yeah, we are working on the Zoomi suite and ecosystem. And I'm very happy and proud to be part of this call, also a big part of what all of you are doing. So happy to connect, reach out on LinkedIn if you like. And yeah, looking forward to today.
Okay, thank you so much, Oscar. So yeah, where do I start? Maybe just a few words about this collaboration before we begin, because as Oscar said, Masumi is a joint project between Service Plan Group and NMaker. Hopefully all of you, maybe a little bit arrogant, it would be nice if some of you have heard of NMaker before. We made around 2.5 million NFTs on Cardano right now. So that's around 25% of all the tokens that have ever been minted on Cardano. This is our website. Everything that looks like the screen is NMaker basically. And you know, approximately 1 year ago, actually almost exactly 1 year ago, we decided to partner up with Service Plan, which is Europe's largest independent agency. I hope I'm saying that correctly, Oscar. And Service Plan is a very large company, and they do marketing for a lot of different companies, and they do all sorts of like creative work. So you see here Swisscom, because I'm in Switzerland right now, but there's also a lot of like German brands. I think BMW is probably the largest one, and many other really amazing clients. And Service Plan, as an agency, basically identified very quickly and very smartly that AI is going to disrupt their business. So they realized, okay, wow, a lot of the things that we are doing right now for our customers can actually be done with AI as well, or at least be supported with AI. So they had a very smart approach to this, because they said, okay, we are going to disrupt ourselves first, and we are going to you know, not let this AI revolution be led from America, from OpenAI and so on, but we are actually going to build our own agents, and we're going to offer them to our customers and internally to really, you know, accelerate our work. So they came up with this strategy, and they reached out to us because they wanted to build this project called Masumi. And Sebastian from Service Plan came here to Zurich exactly 1 year ago, and pitched this whole idea of Masumi to me, and was like, okay, I've been following NMaker for such a long time. I think you're the right people for us to work with and to join this project. And we need this kind of like blockchain expertise in-house. So basically what he described was a future vision where billions of different agents from different companies interact with each other to solve problems. So really, you know, a lot of the issues that are being solved today can be solved by just agentic collaboration. And to do so, we came up with this idea for Masumi, which is this agent-to-agent network. So it's really a network where agents can, number one, pay each other, and then number two, find each other, which is also actually a big problem, because if you think about it, how do you actually find AI agents right now? It's all being monopolized through, you know, Google or through ChatGPT and so on. So it's a decentralized alternative to this. And then number three, do decision logging. So really, if you think about, you know, 20 agents working together and one of them fails, one of them has an issue, which one of those agents is actually the one that is not working, right? How can you actually, you know, figure that out? And here blockchain is really nice because blockchain is, this like decentralized trust layer where you can say, okay, we are just decision logging every single decision that all these agents make, and we are putting in timestamps, and we're basically, we are enabling the users to trace back the whole like decision tree in a way. And then the fourth one has to do with verified identities. So basically verifying that an agent is actually from a company that it says it's from. So for example, if, Service Plan publishes an agent, how can we verify that this is really coming from Service Plan and not from any other, impersonator? So which also becomes really interesting and tricky in the future. So this is the network. This is the idea that he came to us with. And we said, okay, let's do it. And we joined this project. And since then, we've been working almost exclusively on this. So I have to admit that maybe NMaker is currently taking up 5% of our time, and the rest is all Masumi. And there's a lot of different components to Masumi. And I don't want to explain every single one in too much detail now. But just very roughly, there's 3 different components. One of them you've already seen. It's Masumi. It's the on-chain protocol. The other one we built is called Codosumi. So that's really just an open source toolkit that we've created to basically run and execute agents at scale. So this is just for making our own lives easier. But it's also available for free, and there's no like revenue component to it or so. And the third one, and this is really the interesting one, and this is the one which I want to show you today in this presentation, is Sokosumi. And Sokosumi is essentially the front end to Masumi. So it's really the front end to the protocol. So Sokosumi, we describe it as like an AI agent marketplace at the moment, or a Fiverr for AI agents, because you can go on it, and I'm going to show you this in a second. You can go on it and you can see all the different agents that are currently registered on Masumi, and you can hire them with just a click. And ideally, those agents are good enough to make your work life better. So it's really a kind of like B2B tool. And before we go into that, I just want to show you this graphic here, which we recently added to the website. These are all the companies that are currently today registered on Masumi, on Sokosumi. So these are not, like, I don't know, future customers or customers of just Service Plan or so. These are really all people that are registered on Sokosumi. And we can see that with the email registrations, like where the companies are from. And we know that we've onboarded these companies because there's obviously a lot of talks between us and especially Service Plan and those companies. So why the Japan sounding name? That's a very good question. That's actually, there's a real story to it and there's a fake story to it. The fake story is that Sumi means ink. So we say that it's like the ink between the agents and it's connecting all those different agents together. But the real story is that Sebastian had a lot of side projects and he liked the name Masumi. And this is the first side project that made it into production. So that's why it's called Masumi. But yeah, so let me go into this. So if you go to sokosumi.com and you click on login, you'll notice there's a regular, sign up here. There's no crypto, there's no Connect wallet. There's nothing here that would indicate that this is even running on Cardano, but it is, and you can simply sign up with your email. I obviously already have an account, so let me just log in. And once I've logged in, I land in this like interface here, this marketplace or dashboard basically. And here you can see that there's really a lot of different agents already. So there's like different agents here from Service Plan. There's also a few agents from other companies. So for example, here GWI, which is a large data provider for target audience research. There's Factor 168 and so on. And there's actually some agents which are not live today because because we had some technical issues today, but they're going to be live in a few hours again. And now what you can do as a user is you can really just say, okay, I want to now use any of those agents, and you can hire them. So for example, let's take the Statista agent. So I click on it, I see some information about the Statista agent. This agent is quite interesting because it was developed by Service Plan Group, but there's a specific agreement between Statista and Service Plan Group that we are even able to offer this data through Statista as an agent, which is cool because this is actually data that you would not get access to through ChatGPT, right? Because it's behind a paywall. So this agent solves a unique need because it gives you access to data that you normally only get if you really like have a Statista like subscription and stuff, and you manually search for it. So what I could ask is, I don't know, whatever question I want to ask it. Let's see if it has information about Cardano. And now basically I hire it. And now it takes a few seconds here. It's a bit slow today, as I mentioned, some issues, but typically it's a bit faster. But essentially what it does now in the background is it sends an actual Cardano on-chain transaction into a smart contract. It pays with USDM into the smart contract. And the agent notices that, aha, there's money in this smart contract now, and the money is locked. And now I can start working. And once the agent actually has done this work, it will show the result here. And all of our agents are really slightly different from your typical ChatGPT or so. They're not instant. They typically take a few minutes. So this one, for example, takes 6 minutes. And that's also the reason, because they are quite complex, and there's often a lot of stuff happening in the background. And often there's like agent to agent kind of interactions happening in the background. So I can show you some other data here that we have. So here I just did like a test where it basically gave me some information about how many people have seen snow in the world. It gives me the sources and so on. But there's also many other of those agents that I can use. So for example, let's take a look at this. Oh, this one didn't work actually. But here there's like esports that I asked it about. And I can do like advanced web research, which is for some reason our most popular agent at the moment. And one really cool thing here as well is that I can simply switch in from my personal account into my organization account. So I can go in here and I can go into this organization account, and you'll see that in this organization, I have a bunch of different members here as well. So the whole team is basically here, and they can all use the credits that I have supplied for them in the organization. So it's really built for this kind of like organization, enterprise kind of access. And maybe before we look at some other examples of those agents, let's talk about the billing. So how do we actually make money, and how can you actually pay these agents? And here it's interesting because you can simply go ahead and you can say, okay, I want to buy 100 credits, and you click on continue. And now what happens is that it shows you a regular Stripe link, and you can pay with your credit card, and you can just, get credits for free, not for free, for money. And you don't have to interact with blockchain at all. But in the background, what it does is it gives you a certain amount of USDM. So we try to hide this whole like on-chain complexity completely. But if I now go to explorer.masumi.com, .network, I see that this is basically the data that we currently just track, how many transactions we're doing and how many agents are registered and so on. So I can go back here, and you see that, for example, today we had 67 transactions, and in total we had 7,100. And I can now check and go to Cardano Scan and see, okay, what is actually going on in this smart contract. So basically you see, okay, we hired this Statista agent earlier for 10 USDM. So there was an incoming transaction into the smart contract on Cardano of 10 USDM. And here, this was 28 minutes ago. Someone else hired an agent and so on. So there's a lot of like different agents here. And not to be too technical here, but I mean, this is a Cardano Foundation call, so I guess I can be a little bit technical. The one thing here that's really interesting as well is the decision logging, right? So I mentioned that once you pay, the agent notices that you have now done a payment, and the agent then starts working, and then the agent cannot simply get the money that's in this smart contract. So the smart contract essentially acts as an escrow. So you see right now there's 1,160 USDM in the smart contract, but the agent now has to prove that it has done the work and basically send in the hash of the result of the agent's output. And this hash serves as a proof that the work has been done. And then the agent can claim the money later after a certain refund period where the user can say, okay, I'm not happy with this output. And then they can simply say, okay, let's do like a refund. And there's a whole mechanism behind it. I'm not going to go into too much detail there. But essentially, because of that, we are tracking each agent's interaction. And this becomes really relevant once we have, agents that in the background hire 20 other agents. Now, looking back at, where is it? At Sokosumi. Did I close it? I think I closed it. And let's go back to this. And I'm already in the UTX-OAG. Yeah, so there's a few other agents that I used. So, for example, I did the company research agent today. So I did a little bit of a research here on Cardano.org. So it does like an analysis here, and it mentions correctly the leadership team. So Fred is there, Andreas is there, Jeremy, and so on. Everyone here from your leadership team. I don't know how up to date this is, but it basically is using a few different data sources in the background to give you a good overview. And then the same here for IOHK. So it really just isn't a company research agent, but it actually is much better than if you ask ChatGPT for it, because it uses data sources that ChatGPT does not have available to it. And then I did another really nice analysis, because I was going to the Cardano.com website earlier, or a while ago, Cardano.org, sorry. I was looking at this, text here, making the world work better for all. And I was thinking, this cannot be the best statement on a website like this. It's like saying nothing, No offense to whoever came up with the text. But I was really like considering this and thinking, okay, is this really attractive to people who come to the website? So I went to this Let the Crowd Decide agent, and I basically gave it 3 different versions of this title. So I gave it the title, Making the World Work Better for All. And I gave it the title, Secure, Scalable, Sustainable, Cardano Powers Real-World Blockchain Solutions. And I gave it the title, Cardano Building the Future of Finance, Identity, and Innovation. And this crowd decision agent is from a third party. I forgot the name of the company, but I think Factor 168. And it is basically trained on a real data set of different like A/B testing of those crowd decisions. And because of that, you can essentially mock like a real user test with those headlines. And to my surprise, the Making the World Work Better for All was actually the winning decision here. So most people did like that the most. And as a demographic that we mocked, we looked at the average age of 44 years and like a pretty normal gender distribution. So yeah, so maybe that title isn't actually that bad, and we should keep it. And there's a few other agents here that we can use. So we have a prompt engineering agent, which is actually testing your prompts, which can be really helpful if you are building larger agentic solutions. We have a product reality check agent here, so I can type in like an Amazon link, and then it checks the Amazon reviews if actually the product is really doing what it says in the description, and if it matches the Amazon reviews. This is a quite cool agent because it was made by Florian Haller, Haller's daughter, who's the CEO of Service Plan Group. She was doing an internship at Planet, so she built this, which is quite cool, I think. And then, we have some more boring agents like a web single answer agent and so on. So there's a lot of other stuff I can show you, but maybe one thing that I really want to show is Claude, because I don't know how much AI the Cardano Foundation is using right now. I hope a lot, but essentially, a lot of companies are switching now to using some of those tools as a whole company. So we at NMaker, we started using Claude, the team version, and we have like all of our members in here. Everyone has access to our shared Claude project, and we are using tools inside Claude to really make it easier for us to work. And here, the cool thing that you can now do is you can connect an MCP server, which is a new standard, basically the USB stick for LLMs. to Claude. And we have built a Sokosumi MCP server. So you see here as a tool, this can actually interact with Sokosumi. And what I can ask it to do is I can just ask it, okay, please figure out who the Cardano community in Europe is, and if they're willing to pay $500 for their summit tickets. Use Sokosumi agents. So then, sorry, I had to. So then basically what it does is it looks at all the different agents. Here it says list agents, looks at all the different agents that are currently available on Sokosumi, and it then finds the relevant agents. So for now, it uses the advanced web research agent. I think it's going to use some other, like the GWI agent as well. And it's going to completely create this job. And by creating this job, now my Claude is creating an actual Cardano on-chain transaction and then basically hiring this agent. And I will be able to see this transaction here as well inside of my Sokosumi instance. Here exactly, Cardano Europe Community Research. And then the cool thing is that it can reuse these results and basically use them to orchestrate to hire other agents, or like simply, you know, use the output of one agent and then chain it to the next agent, and because of that, like create really interesting workflows. So yeah, here it also uses the Ask the Crowd agent. It also uses the GWI Spark agent. So it's now creating like multiple Cardano transactions, and it's creating multiple agent runs. And in the end, the result will hopefully be pretty good. So I did, because I don't want to wait, I did this earlier as well. And I asked it like about the target audience for Cardano using Sokosumi and so on. And it did the same thing. And then it started all these different agents. And then it had to wait a little bit because, you know, transactions are quite slow and the agents need to run a little bit. And then you can check the results. And it basically delivers me different key insights. So here, for example, it gave me some key insights about the demographics for Cardano. So how many people in Cardano or crypto holders specifically are millennials, how many are Gen X, how many are Gen Z, and so on. And how many are high earners. So, you know, crypto owners are typically high earners, which is, I guess, as expected, to be honest. Investor profiles and so on. And it got these information not just from, you know, what Claude normally knows, but it got these information from multiple different sources. So now from Statista, from GWI, from the company research agent and the advanced web research agent. So this result, if you would ask Claude on its own, would never be as specific and as exact as it would be with Sokosumi.
Did you try that? Did you verify that statement?
I didn't try it with this specific one because I did it like 10 minutes before the call, but we are trying that with basically every single agent. And we're even going to create landing pages where you can see on the left like ChatGPT, and then on the right you see the agent outputs. And we are using it for our marketing on Twitter a lot at the moment. We do like direct comparisons. And it's basically with every single agent that our output is always significantly better than the ChatGPT output.
Cool.
There's a lot of questions in the chat. I'm going to ignore it for now, maybe, and then answer all of them later. Let me show you one last thing that I wanted to show. And that is, as I mentioned, we have Codozumi, and Codozumi is where all the agents actually live and where they are getting executed. So what I want to do is I want to open our Codozumi instance, and I want to log in here. And then basically see if we have, what's it called, profile. So these are all different like profiles. These are all different like agent runs. Maybe I don't find it right now. Extended audience profiles. Okay, this is an agent we don't have live yet, but it will be live very soon. And this is a really interesting agent because it's an agent that, number one, is really expensive. So I think we're going to sell it for like $80 or 80 USDM. But then number two, it's also an agent that is interesting because it does a lot of like sub-agent hires through the Masumi network. So what it does is, you can see it really nicely here, it has an orchestration phase. So we give this agent a budget of 40 USDM, and then the agent looks at the request of the user and says, okay, which of the other agents on Masumi can I use to fulfill this request in the best way? So it's running an orchestrator agent, and then the orchestrator agent is looking at all the other agents and says, okay, the GWI agent makes sense, the web research agent makes sense, the other one makes sense, and they cost like 3 USDM, 3 USDM, and so on. And then it submits these tasks to those agents and basically waits for those agents to do the tasks. So here there's a lot of waiting, takes a few minutes, and then it gets the results, it analyzes the results, and then it says, okay, I need more information, right? So it basically hires more agent, and it does another run, and it hires the audience insights agent again and again, and then it hires the Ask the Crowd agent, and it failed with some of those agents, but most of them worked. And then it does another run. And in total, then it has submitted jobs to 1, 2, 3, 8, 10, 9, I don't know, agents. and it used 26 USDM, and it created 9 transactions just here automatically, and then the agents themselves create another 9 transactions. So there's a minimum of 18 transactions that this agent with one run created, and then is returning a really good result. So if you look at the result, it's not like formatted beautifully. This is a developer tool, but you can imagine it in Sokosumi, and it will be much nicer and looking much nicer. And it gives you a really, really detailed result using all this information that it just got from all these different agents. And here it gives you all the different sources, and it gives you all the different research documents, it gives you all the different thoughts, and it also says how many jobs it created. So, okay, it was actually eight jobs it created, and so on. So because of this, I think that in the future, it's very likely that most of the transactions on Cardano will be created using agents and not using humans. Because agents don't care about wallets, they don't care about connect your wallet or any of the user experience stuff. They just hire the job or do the jobs, and that's it. Okay, let me think. Are there any other topics that I can talk about here? I think I'm going to go to your questions in a second, but I think the one takeaway that I want to have is I really would love to see as many of you as possible sign up here today and just create an account. You get 30 credits for free at the beginning, but I'm also going to send out coupons to every Cardano Foundation member that you have enough credits to try it out. And I think this is a really good way to make your lives easier, because some of those agents are really helpful. Like, we use them every day for work. But also, by hiring one of those agents, you are doing actual Cardano on-chain transactions, right? And one of these things that I sometimes hear about the Cardano Foundation is that the members of the foundation don't really interact with the ecosystem that much. I think this is the best way you can interact with Cardano right now, without even having to install a wallet, or without even having to use DEXs or do meme coin trading and so on. I mean, Rafa likes doing his meme coin trading, but I don't know, many of you maybe don't. So yeah, that's my takeaway. And now, I don't know, Oscar, do you have anything to add, or should I go to the questions?
Let's go to the questions. I think there's enough to talk about from both of us.